All right, another edition of Investing Education Academy's podcast. So today you may have heard the news, maybe you didn't, maybe you don't care, maybe you haven't been informed, but when you hear this, you're going to care. Elon Musk, has become a board member of Twitter. So Leon's going to tell you why we chose that topic in 2 seconds, but first I want to say we look like the platform, the community is growing inside of Investing Education Academy. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. And, for anybody who's been looking at the portfolio Panthers and heard the rumors that we're moving more towards a VC and investment group platform, it's true. So we actually will be having people pitching to us business ideas, and we'll be buying into companies similar to maybe Shark Tank or some of the crowdfunding platforms you've seen, but with a different spin. But already we've had one person who pitched to us about 2 years ago with a valuation of around 100,000. Today, that company's valuation is coming in at 25 million. So that's a pretty big jump. And we are looking to have more businesses pitch to us so we can make additional investments and live an amazing retirement life. So if you are a company out there who is interested in pitching your business idea or existing business to the IAA Portfolio Panthers, which is our premier group inside of IAA, you can go, pretty soon, just know you have the ability to pitch to us. We're going to hold off for now, but very soon you will have the ability to go and apply to pitch with all the other wonderful people who are pitching. Also, for those who are thinking about pitching to us, we now have access to over 1,000 VCs, angel investors, startup investors, and we're talking about over, I say, 5 billion in funds available for some of these startup companies. So for you all who are thinking, oh, why would I pitch to the Panthers or IEA in general? We are growing and life is changing. For those of you all who've been watching, hey, you can keep watching. But for those of you all who are getting involved, it's about to be a very good ride. So with that being said, our goal with each of these is still to provide very important information for you today. So whether you're inside of IEA or not, we're providing information to the community to hopefully make the community more money. So with that being said, I'm going to do a little homework, and Leon's going to tell you why we chose this topic.
Homework? You got homework now?
I'm a dad. I'm a dad with kids. Man.
Right.
I default to homework. I'm going to do some housekeeping while Leon tells you why we chose this topic.
Yes. So topic today is Elon Musk. And so, okay, if anybody who doesn't know, Elon Musk is the founder of Tesla. Well, sorry, he's the CEO of Tesla. He's not the founder. He was brought on a little later. But he's the face of Tesla. Like Tesla is Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is Tesla. Anybody who follows them knows that. So what he did this week, which was very interesting, is that he bought a massive stake in Twitter, and he's now the largest single shareholder above Jack Dorsey, who founded Twitter. I think Jack Dorsey owns like 2 or 3% of Twitter, and Elon Musk now owns 9.2% of Twitter. So he's the largest single shareholder, and he gained one board seat this week or last week. So the question is, kind of the title of this is can Elon Musk kind of like save Twitter? And the reason we kind of worded like that is because and can Elon Musk save Twitter, and can he like basically help the stocks? What we really care about, right? So and the reason kind of bring this up is because a lot of people follow Elon Musk, a lot of people follow him on Twitter. He has 80.5 million followers on Twitter. He's one of the most influential people in social media, and he has a huge following. He has huge influence, and people that follow crypto know that the minute he even tweets just the name of a cryptocurrency, it usually shoots up. So Elon Musk is a very, very influential influencer and investor in social media, mainly on Twitter. So what he did this week was really interesting. The reason it is because Elon Musk has been a huge critic of Twitter over the last year or two, because a lot of these social media platforms have what they call moderation, and all moderation means they kind of oversee and try to tamp down on like misinformation, racism, sexism, homophobia, things like that, spewing out of people's mouths. Well, Elon Musk has been slapped by the SEC quite a few times for putting out like misleading statements about his company, about other companies, about cryptocurrencies. And so Twitter has also kind of slapped his hand as well. So it was really interesting that he's now the largest shareholder in the most influential social media platform as far as getting a voice out there. That he bought, he's now the largest shareholder and now has a board seat. So the question is, as investors for us, how does this benefit us? How could it benefit us? Well, I'm gonna read off some stats about Twitter stock and how it's performed really since its IPO. So I'm gonna start from recently. So this year, Twitter is up 29%. Now, that sounds impressive. Check this out.
Right. I know where you're going.
That sounds impressive. But since the first of this month or last Friday, Twitter is up 28%. So what does that mean? All the gains in Twitter came in the last week, just since the announcement that Elon Musk took this big stake. So Twitter is essentially flat to down before that. Now, bigger kind of a higher view. Over the last year, Twitter is down 31%. But then in contrast, the S&P 500 is up 7% over the same 1 year period. So Twitter has greatly underperformed the general market. And here's even more eye-opening stat. So Twitter came public in 2013 at roughly about $45, right? Twitter today closed at $50, which means in 9 years, Twitter has made 11%. Twitter has gained 11% in 9 years. Horrible performance. Because remember,
Leon, does that account for any splits?
I don't believe Twitter's had any splits.
I'm gonna check that while we're talking.
Okay, but no, yes, it does. Yeah, it does. It would account for because when the split happens, the platforms adjust the stock price, so that would account for splits. But yeah, so Twitter has only gained 9%. Sorry, it's only gained 11% in 9 years. The reason that's really abysmal is because remember the stock market in general, the S&P 500 gains typically 10% per year, 12% with dividends. Twitter's been a terrible stock essentially. If you've owned Twitter since the IPO or a little after, you've essentially made no money. And up until this week, you were probably losing money. So the question then becomes, can Elon Musk help Twitter? So we've seen that he's done tremendous things for Twitter just in the last week by his announcement that he's now the largest shareholder and has a board seat. And he said he's going to be very, very, very active and involved with moving Twitter forward because a lot of people. So another quick take a step back on this. Twitter has not grown its users nor its revenue in any substantial way over the last 3 to 5 years. Like Twitter has been stagnant for about 5 years. Hasn't grown revenue, hasn't grown profits, hasn't grown its user base. Its user base is stuck at about 300 million users, where Facebook is at well over 1 billion. So that just kind of shows you. And I think and also Instagram is over 1 billion by itself too. So
and Leon, real quick. December 3rd, 1999, Twitter did a 2-for-1 stock split.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. Well, it does account for that. Yeah. So even when a stock splits, Twitter is up only 11% in 9 years. So that just shows how poor the stock has been. And in kind of what I was saying before is that they haven't grown their revenue, profits, nor users in about 3 to 5 years. Tells you why the stock has been flat. Again, Facebook at 1 billion, Instagram has 1 billion, Twitter stuck at about 300 million. I think even Snapchat is north of like 500 million users. They're talking about average daily users. So Twitter has just been stuck for years. And so this big bump, with Elon Musk in it now, the question is Twitter viable? Like, is Twitter a good investment now? We don't know, right? Nobody knows what the future holds. However, I do not own Twitter. I haven't had an interest in Twitter in years. But I will say, now that Elon Musk is involved, it's on my radar now. I'm gonna more watch it. I'm gonna add it to my watch list and actually kind of watch it. Reason being is just shows you how basically whack Twitter's management is. So Elon Musk, after he came out with he's now the one of the major investors in Twitter. He posted on Twitter. He was like something along the lines of, "Wouldn't everyone love an edit button?" And for people that don't know, the edit button has been the most requested feature by Twitter users forever, right? And for whatever reason, Twitter just is like, "Oh my God, the world is going to end if we add an edit button." You can edit on Facebook, you can edit on Instagram. I believe you can edit everywhere. Like every social media platform, you can basically edit except for Twitter. they have this thing about edits. So he comes out and says, hey, wouldn't everyone love an edit button? And then Twitter, their communications department tweets out saying, oh, we've been working on an edit button for the past year. It's soon to come, sort of thing. So Elon Musk, putting that tweet out about the edit button, has now moved the Twitter management and inside Twitter to say, yes, we're working on that, and it's coming soon. So he's already affecting change in Twitter's features and even how their management moves. So I think Elon Musk will be a very powerful, will have a very, very powerful influence on Twitter stock. Is it a buy? Again, I don't know. For me, I'm going to watch it. It's very interesting to me now because, again, you get a 28% pop in a day, or in basically a couple of days when the stock has been flat for like years. That becomes interesting. They've now, since Elon Musk has come around, they're now talking about they're going to put out this edit button. It's been asked for Twitter users for years, and he's saying he's going to be very active. So I just want to kind of bring this to everybody's attention. Twitter, in my mind, is something to watch, mainly because Elon Musk. Now, I will also say a lot of people in the finance world has been saying this pop may not last, right? Because the fundamentals of Twitter have not changed. They're still not growing profits. They're still not growing users. They're still not growing revenue, right? So right now it's a lot of hype, but you can make money in hype, right? Whoever owned Twitter, a couple of days ago has seen a 28% pop, pop in it. So just something to look out for. Look out for Twitter. Keep your eye on Twitter. There's going to be more to come from Musk. And again, anytime he tweets about Twitter, I would expect the stock to move. So I may dump a little money in there just as like a kind of almost like a meme stock sort of thing, just to get that momentum. But we'll see that. We'll see what happens with Musk.
Yeah, I think this is one of those ones where it's a play on the news, and I personally think that the stock price is going to come down soon. I'm not saying it's going to go back to where it was before the 27%, 28% jump, but I do think it's going to come down a little bit. Now, tomorrow, as the world catches up to the news, you might still see some elevation in the price, but eventually everyone's going to figure out nothing fundamentally has changed. And even I think with his seat now, he's what's called a tier 2 board member, which means he has a little more authority than other board members. But with his 74 million shares that he purchased, it equates to 9.2% ownership in the company. He really can't do much on the board. I mean, it's not like he can't make an executive decision and just have it done. Also, Twitter's board is kind of like it's a lot of egos in the room. So I'm curious to see how that's going to kind of mesh with Elon because he has ego. So
does he?
And so that's going to be interesting. And his board position sunsets in 2024.
Right.
So, and they capped him. One of the agreements to him being on the board is they capped him at he can't take over more than 15% position in Twitter as a member of the board. And for any of you all thinking like, who cares? If 15% is a hostile takeover territory. So if he got to 15%, he could actually take over the company. And then he could, his will would rule. So with that cap in place, they've anticipated him possibly going rogue and put in these safeguards. So I am curious to see how far his influence will go. But with 80 million followers on the platform, even if he wasn't a board member, honestly, like you kind of have to listen to him because he speaks for a huge population of people using the platform. And in this environment, it's getting very competitive in the social platform space. And you're looking at Facebook just made a huge snafu, dumping like 10 billion into a platform that's just not going to do anything. And they're still putting more money into the what are they calling it? What's their word for the metaverse?
No, they call it the metaverse, because remember they're Meta now.
Yeah, but I feel like it was a name for it. They named it something. But anyway,
you may be thinking the Omniverse, which is Nvidia.
No, it wasn't that. But it doesn't.
So real quick, just on that, just an aside from kind of going Brent said. So Facebook today, just little news also. Facebook today, well, they didn't announce today, but I read it today. That Facebook, so if a lot of people don't know, they try to introduce their own cryptocurrency, their own stable coin a couple of years ago that totally got shut down by the feds. But what Facebook is now thinking about, what they're working on doing is creating cryptocurrencies, not stable coins, just regular cryptocurrencies, and that may not even live on a blockchain. It just may live inside the ecosystem of Facebook that creators can get paid with. So people on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, their worlds will actually be able to get paid via these cryptocurrencies that Facebook is supposedly working on. So that's kind of a FY. Now I will say, I remember I sold my Facebook around $230, and it dropped down to like 180, and now I think it's around 220. So it's had a decent bounce off the low, but it's still down from its high. It was like 360, so it's still down huge. But I will say, if they do introduce cryptocurrencies inside their platform that can be used as money in their own ecosystem, that's interesting to me. That would get me a little more interested in the stock. But this whole thing about the metaverse and people wearing goggles all day, like that to me is crap. Like I don't buy that at all. So another reason
the
why
Oculus, you're not a fan of the Oculus?
No. Oh, so here's another. Yeah, you bring up a lot of good stuff today that I'm remembering. So today I also heard that so people that don't know, Facebook's VR headset is called Oculus, and interesting enough, a lot of Gen Zers, which are people like that are like, I don't know, under 30 or something, 25% of them own Oculus headsets, which to me was like, wow, I didn't realize a lot of people had, that many had it. But here's the thing. It was upwards of like 90% of them stopped using it after, I think, like a month or two. So what that looks like is that it's basically a novelty. This metaverse, wearing goggles, living in that world, is kind of like a novelty. Yes, it's interesting to the youth, but they do it for a little while and then they leave it alone. So that's another red flag to me about Facebook and their whole metaverse thing. But the cryptocurrency side of them using that within Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, that's interesting to me. That would get my attention. But yeah, just some FYIs about Facebook and what they're working on.
Yeah, and for me, going back to the topic, when we're talking about Twitter and Elon Musk, this does not make me care about Twitter. It really means little to nothing to me, but it does, really heighten Elon Musk's authority in just social media. Mm-hmm. So for me, the exciting part is the fact that he is going to have greater authority. Probably, I'm guessing, enhanced access, because truthfully, I don't believe the board members get any special access to Twitter that anybody else doesn't has. So I think that stays about the same. But people will follow him just because he's on the board. Mm-hmm. Period. And
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, you made a good point. That Elon Musk does not have any like outsized power. He's just only one person on a board of like 5 or 7 people. So, but like Brent also said, his influence on Twitter, he has 80 million followers. He's one of the most followed people on Twitter. Even though he has one board seat, his influence is going to be outsized. They're not going to change any rules based on exactly what he says. But what they do, he'll have a heavy hand in executing the plan going forward. And the CEO even said that. He was like, we're definitely going to take Elon's input, very seriously and adapt some of it. So,
but Jack Dorsey, he's stepping down soon.
Did I say Dorsey?
No. Well, you said
no. Dorsey's gone. Dorsey left like, I think, end of last year. The CEO
I don't think he's officially off the board though.
I
think he leaves the board. He steps down.
From the board. Oh, I don't know if he's on the board. Yeah, he stepped down as CEO. Yeah, okay.
I think he steps down. Might be later this year, early next year. Okay. But at any point, we'll fact check that.
Yeah.
So in this space, but
last one you were saying earlier about the stock. So interesting point about the stock. You're saying you think the stock may go down, possibly. Again, we never know. But interesting point.
After it continues up for a while.
Yeah, well, the market was down huge today. It was down close to 2 to 3%. The general market, and Twitter was flat. It was only down 0.41%. So a hugely down market, Twitter just basically didn't move. So that's kind of a good sign for Twitter. At least right now, at least in this moment, that is showing good strength against the general market based on this whole Elon Musk thing.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Elon Musk. I mean, years ago, I bought Solar City solely because I found out that his first cousin was the CEO and Elon was on the board, and I didn't know it. That was one of the best moves I ever made, because Solar City turned into Tesla.
Tesla bought him.
Yeah. So it was a huge win. But I want to say I got it at $27 a share. So in the grand scheme of it, I've always been a proponent of kind of tracking Elon. But again, this move, to know exactly what I'm thinking, I'm going to buy more Tesla, not any of Twitter. So this move is making me buy more Tesla, not Twitter, because again, it increases his voice and influence in the space. And I think even if Twitter does amazingly, it's only going to move marginally. Also, when you look at what's happening with the NFT market space, more so than Elon taking over a board position, I will give Twitter a little more credence simply for the fact that if you have an NFT, if you're releasing a cryptocurrency, if you don't have a Twitter following, a Discord following at a certain level, really Instagram doesn't even matter. But Discord and Twitter, if people research you and your communities aren't active or at a certain size to really have the tipping point of interest, it's going to be a very hard win for you in the NFT and cryptocurrency space. So with Twitter having that kind of power right now and so much moving towards cryptocurrency, that will make me more interested in Twitter than Elon Musk's involvement.
Yeah, and right now on Twitter, you can tip people that you follow and that you like. You can tip them with Bitcoin and I think Ethereum too, definitely Bitcoin. So they're Twitter is definitely big in the crypto space. You can tip people, and like Brent said, if you don't have a crypto following on Twitter, your cryptocurrency really won't even do much because that's really where a lot of people go for that research. So yeah, that's about it for today. Again, just watch out for Twitter. Elon Musk taking a board seat is a huge deal. It now has it piqued my interest in the stock, which I will be following and may buy a little bit of, just to dip my toe in since Elon Musk is in. But this was a huge move for Twitter. So and again, the stock is up 20% in a couple of days. We'll see what happens in the future. But this raises Twitter's profile big time.
I will say I'm curious to see if Elon Musk is going to start popping up in Twitter Spaces as a result. And if he pops up in Twitter Spaces, that can change the game for Twitter. That can change the game for Twitter.
And people don't know Twitter Spaces are, if you're familiar with Clubhouse, it's their version of Clubhouse. It's voice only sort of town halls. It's called Twitter Spaces, and it's actually done pretty well since they brought that feature out. So yeah, if Elon Musk jumps in there often, yeah, that'll be huge. Which I'm sure he will because he frequents his investments. So I'd definitely expect to see him in there.
Yeah. So with that being said, we owe you all two things. In summary, Leon, are you going to buy Twitter or are you going to think about buying Twitter?
I'm going to think about buying Twitter. This because something that jumps, like you said, something that jumped 28%. I'm gonna wait for a bit of I'm gonna see. I mean, I never know, but I'm gonna see if there's a pullback. If there is, maybe 5 or 10%, I'll dip my toe in there. But I'm not buying it up here at 30% up now. No, I'm not chasing it.
Yeah, I'm not. Just again for clarity, I'm not interested in Twitter right now. When you look at opportunity costs to the other stocks that are out there and what's happening in the technology space and also cybersecurity, it's not enough happening there fundamentally to pull me over. So that being said, we owe you all two stock picks. If you are an IA member, one of our stock picks will be inside of our group. And you can go to www.ieanow.com to see what's going on inside of our groups. If you want to go directly to the platform, you can go to iamembers.com. And so IA Now, you're thinking, well, what's IA Now versus IA members? IA Now is how you become an IA member. So it's the platform that really lists what we do, the different membership platforms. Pick the one that is most applicable for you, and then it will take you to our portal, which is iamembers.com. And if you are already a member, you can see both of our stock picks inside the portal. If you don't have a membership, but you are part of our Facebook group, you can go to just search Investing Education Academy on Facebook, will pop up, and you can see one of our stock picks there. And if you scroll, you can see some of the other stock picks that we've chosen over the last few months. So we thank you all for continuing to support Investing Education Academy. Again, I'm gonna go back to, if you are, a startup company or you are a CEO of a startup, be it, if you're out in Silicon Valley, if you're local, if you're somewhere in the Midwest, and I don't necessarily want to pitch, but I am looking for funding, and you want to talk to us about how we can help you find people who can possibly fund you, if not us, then contact us. You can reach out to Leon. You can reach out to me on this platform. We have some really cool things coming in regards to funding for startups, and also the Portfolio Panthers really taking a space in the VC world and traditional investments as a whole. So look for more to come. If you're interested in becoming an IA Portfolio Panther, let us know, and we will show you how to become one. Did I miss anything, Leon?
No, it was a good synopsis.
Cool. Everybody, we will see you all next week. And for you all who are thinking about Twitter, do your research. This is not stock advice for you in particular. We are just simply giving our views on it. You have to make sure it makes sense for your portfolio.
Definitely.
Have a great day.